Budapest Airport, 2023. Anthony Taylor is not leaving a stadium. He is trying to get his family through a crowd of furious supporters. He did not score, miss a penalty, or touch the ball. He blew a whistle for 90 minutes, and a chair is thrown toward him. Here is the strange part. This is no longer only about whether one decision was right. It is about what football does with blame. Football builds a complicated decision system, then gives it one visible face. When anger needs somewhere to land, it finds the referee. That is the real question. Why can one contested call follow a referee out of the stadium, through security, and all the way to an airport? I am the guy watching Premier League highlights on my phone before work, somehow turning a normal kickoff time into a personal emergency. My American friends think soccer is 90 minutes of men agreeing to be tired together. I stopped correcting them because making videos is faster. But during this World Cup, the referees kept becoming main characters, even when nobody had bought a ticket to watch them. What fans see is one man in green or yellow, surrounded by 22 players who disagree with him, each other, and occasionally basic geometry. What they do not see is a decision process involving assistants, replay officials, competition protocols, and judgments made before anyone can explain them. That difference matters. You cannot scream at a protocol, photograph a rulebook's family, or follow a replay system through departures. But you can find a person. Psychologists would recognize the pattern as scapegoating under uncertainty, turning a chaotic, painful loss into a simpler story with one human target. When defeat feels too random, humiliating, or enormous to accept, the mind searches for something smaller, clearer, and easier to control. A missed shot can be bad luck. A red card is a decision, and decisions feel intentional even when they are merely difficult. The player who missed still belongs to the team. The referee belongs to nobody, which makes him strangely easy for everyone to own. He is the only participant whose successful night can leave half the stadium absolutely certain that he failed. And the pattern almost never begins with a chair. It begins with booing, which is normal. Then a chant turns his name into an insult repeated by thousands of people. Then someone posts his hotel, his flight, or his arrival gate, and the argument quietly escapes the stadium. Then comes the crowd at departures, the bottle, the chair, and the family being moved behind security nobody expected to need. Each step feels smaller to the person taking it than it looks to the person receiving it. Disappointment rarely jumps. It finds stairs. Inside the stadium, group identity can make people feel powerful and anonymous at the same time, especially after a national elimination. Most supporters stop at anger. A few carry the crowd's emotion beyond the final whistle, after the crowd itself has already disappeared. At an airport, the anonymity gets smaller one gate at a time, but the grievance has already been given a name and face. Ivan Barton experienced that after a controversial 2023 match ended with Honduras eliminated on penalties and supporters confronted him during the flight home. Not in the stadium, not in a tunnel. Inside an aircraft cabin, where the match should have been physically impossible to continue. That is what makes these incidents disturbing. The referee is no longer being challenged as an official. He is being treated as the result itself. Compare that with a striker who misses 3 open chances. He may get a brutal headline, an ugly meme, and weeks of criticism. A referee makes one disputed decision late in the match, and strangers may search his name, route, family, and next assignment. Both influence the scoreline. Only one stands outside both teams, protected by no shared badge, anthem, or emotional loyalty. Here is where it gets uncomfortable. Football asks one person to embody authority, while the machinery behind that authority remains mostly invisible. Assistants, review systems, and competition rules may shape the final call, but the public remembers one arm pointing in one direction. When the process creates uncertainty, the institution stays abstract. The referee becomes concrete, reachable, and available for the entire argument. Is that real accountability? Or has football concentrated a complicated system into the easiest possible target for public anger? Technology was supposed to settle more arguments. Instead, extra angles and frozen frames can create more precise versions of the same disagreement. The decision becomes more technical. The anger stays personal. Back in Budapest, Taylor is still moving through the terminal with his family while supporters keep the final alive around him. The notebook in his hand is not a verdict. It contains judgments made in seconds, under pressure, with consequences nobody can fully control. By the airport, One judgment has been rewritten into a moral story. We did not simply lose. This man took something from us. Maybe a decision was wrong. Referees make mistakes, and supporters have every right to criticize decisions, appointments, and standards. But a bad call and permission to pursue a stranger are not the same argument, no matter how loudly they are combined. Taylor was trying to catch a flight. The crowd was trying to keep the match alive long enough to find someone who could still lose. The final whistle ends the game, not the blame.